start out at the Lobkowicz Palace. We take the students there. They're welcomed into this grand ballroom.
We're calling this Curator program, but what is a curator? Can anyone answer that question? Yes.
Studies or like takes care of like artifacts?
Takes care of artifacts, that's right.
Museums have excellent programs all over the world, but it's that idea of being able to touch and handle objects, have that kind of tactile experience. I think that was wonderful, but we wanted to select things that hadn't been studied, objects that didn't have much exposure, and so that the kids were really starting from scratch.
I know what this is. I think I know.
They have to do the job of a curator, figure out what it is, and what does this object tell us about the past. They've got an artifact analysis sheet. They do all the initial analysis work right there in the Lobkowicz Palace. They're taking pictures of it, they're weighing it, measuring it, trying to identify all the intricate details of this object. But today with our smartphones and the cameras, they're snapping pictures of it, uploading it to Google, reverse image searching, and oftentimes identifying what it is. But I also want to do a quick walkthrough on how to maybe lay out and set up your Curator blog, because style does matter.
I think one of the most important things that I improved upon during the Curator experience was writing about nonfiction things. And in Curator, we were really forced to expand upon this and write about nonfiction, historical aspects of our project.
We know what it's made of, who made it, where it was made.
It's not really about figuring out just what that object is. It's learning about what happened in society, the sort of social history around the object.
Right now we actually think that it is an older form of an encyclopedia, like a study guide from the 17th century that was then later converted into the encyclopedias as we know them.
So this kind of process of discovery and bringing that back to the group, explaining it to the group, and then writing about it, I think this is a very different learning process than when we're just standing, or I'm just standing up in front of the class, giving them information.
It's basically a wooden shaped book, but it's actually not a book, it's a box filled with plants and other specimens.
Because our curators aren't necessarily specialized for all of the objects that we're showing. It's wonderful for them to see how quickly the students can discover, make discoveries on their own.
So one major skill that we learned was being able to recognize what source is verifiable, which source is a good one to use. And this is translated into our subjects like social studies or English now in the 10th grade, where we constantly have to look for accuracy.
Sorry, what's the source you were using?
It's Wikipedia, but
okay, so
I'm not really gonna use the bottom.
Yeah, but what did we say about Wikipedia? Where did we go from Wikipedia if we wanted to get a good source? Because you get down to the links, they've got references there. Go to the references. Go to the references Wikipedia uses, and that'll get you to a source that is more along the lines of what curators are looking for.
Trying to go beyond that initial, oh, it's a coin kind of thing. You know, you have to try to dig deeper.
Along the way, we also take a trip out to Lobkowicz, another one of the castles. At Nella, they'll have a chance to present to the curators what they've discovered so far, and the curators will again give them a chance to give the feedback on the direction they're going.
And they also, the height of the heel represented the status of the actors themselves, so this could maybe somehow connect to.
And what period were these?
Oh, it was 200 BC, so.
But you know, I wouldn't really mind if you used it, because Angel Gabriel is an essential part of the Annunciation. So definitely, and you see the perspective on the floor is continuing, and it actually gives you a more narrative of the space as well.
I really liked the sort of open-endedness of it. You could take the easy route and just, you know, discover the object, but you could really invest yourself into it and learn a lot more about the history, and it just mattered how much you put into it.
They prepare well for that presentation, and they know that there will be a large audience. It's their teachers and their parents and the curators. So it's a great experience for them to do a formal presentation. It's very nerve-wracking, but it really teaches them how to speak in front of an audience.
I'm Isla.
This is Georgie. That's Sophia.
I think that is one of the key differences, is them doing it themselves and us kind of guiding them along the way, helping them to tell the best story they can.
And we got to choose what we were studying. Everybody got to do what they were interested in and got to look at that time period in history through their own lens. So I think an empowered learner is being able to take control of what you're learning and actually enjoy and find meaning in what you're learning.
So the last remaining team is the shoe team.
I liked that it culminated into a presentation that was bigger than just something in a classroom, that we actually went to the palace and there was a larger audience and it was formal and it was a little bit bigger and a little bit more important.
The project was definitely worth it. It was very fulfilling, and ultimately you always remember it later as something you're proud of.
We've even had a student come back and say, you know, I'll never look at an object in the same way again when I go through a museum. So that's wonderful to hear that kind of response.